What can you expect once USCIS approves the I-130 petition? That's what we're talking about on today's episode of Sumner School Family Immigration Basics. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. Once USCIS approves that I-130 petition, it would be a mistake to assume that there's nothing else that you need to do. You just wait for the consulate to schedule the immigrant visa interview. There are additional steps that you need to take and things that you need to be looking out for so that the process continues smoothly and without delay. One of the first things that will happen once USCIS approves the I-130 petition and the petition is transferred to the National Visa Center, also sometimes called the NVC, is you will receive a welcome email from the NVC. So keep an eye on that email. They will ask you to pay the fees that are associated with the immigrant visa processing process. They will ask you to upload certain documents to their online portal. You will also have to complete a form called the DS-260, and you will have to submit what's called the Affidavit of Support, which is an additional form and requires additional documentation. One key in this particular step is to make sure that you are submitting the required and correct documents. We always cross-check the reciprocity table, which is published by Department of State. It's available online, and it will tell you exactly the type of document that you need. So it won't say this is the list of documents you need for this particular type of case, but it will say for a birth certificate in Mexico or India or whatever the country is, this is exactly what you need. And it's critical that you pay attention to that and submit the correct documentation. Once you have uploaded everything, the National Visa Center will review all of the documents and forms that you have submitted, and they will either send you an email that says the case is documentarily qualified, or they will ask for additional information, and you'll have a chance to upload whatever additional information it is that they're asking for. Once the case is documentarily qualified, that does not mean that you're good to go and that you can apply for the immigrant visa anytime you want. The next step, once the case is documentarily qualified, is for the NVC to coordinate with the consulate where you will apply for the immigrant visa to schedule that immigrant visa interview. The timing of that really depends on the availability at the consulate and the availability of a green card. If you are subject to the visa bulletin, if you have to wait for the priority date to become current, that will affect the timing. On the other hand, if you are the spouse of a US citizen, parent of a US citizen, adult child, or child of a US citizen, you're not subject to the visa bulletin. There's a visa immediately available, and you're just waiting on the consulate to actually schedule. But again, that timing really varies depending on the specific consulate. So once you have the interview scheduled, then you will, of course, attend the interview, and we'll be talking about that in our next video. So what are some common mistakes that people make in this process once the I-130 petition is approved and you're working with the National Visa Center? One is waiting too long to start. Once you receive that email, you want to make sure that you pay those fees, upload those documents. There may be a reason that you're intentionally delaying the case processing, but you'll want to let the NVC know if that is the case. Otherwise, you want to upload those documents. Do not let a year pass without contacting the NVC, because if that happens, they will terminate the petition, and it is difficult, if not impossible, to have it reopened. So make sure you contact them at least once a year. Another mistake that we see when individuals are going through this process is uploading the wrong documentation. Again, make sure that you're looking at the reciprocity table and make sure that you know the exact documents that are required for your particular case type. Because if you're missing a document, you'll get an email asking for it, and that will delay the processing. Make sure that you're completing the Affidavit of Support correctly. That is one of the most challenging forms, I think, in all of immigration law, US immigration law. So make sure you're submitting that or completing that correctly, and that you're submitting all of the correct supporting documentation, which can also be tricky. Another mistake is submitting inconsistent information. So either inconsistent within the set of information or documents that you're submitting now, or inconsistent with the previous filing. US or the Department of State will look at previous filings, and if there are inconsistencies or discrepancies, that will come up, and you'll need to address that. Not checking your email is another mistake that we see. You have to stay on top of your email, because that's how the NVC will be in contact with you to let you know what to submit, that your case is documentarily qualified, to let you know when the interview is scheduled, that type of thing. So make sure that you're keeping on top of that email. And then finally, assuming that another mistake is assuming that once the case is documentarily qualified, that you're all done. That's not the case. Like I said, you have to wait for that immigrant visa interview to be scheduled at the U.S. consulate and then attend the interview. In this situation with this type of case, as with almost everything, if not everything in immigration law, small mistakes or delays on your part of acting really can create significant delays or even denials, sometimes irreversible, in the process. So it's critical that you're taking the right steps and that you're acting promptly and submitting the correct documentation. If you need assistance with this particular type of case, the I-130 and consular processing, sometimes called the IR1 process, sometimes called the CR1 process, we are here to help. Give us a call. We will have information on the outro slide about how to set up the consultation, which is the first step to getting your journey underway. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. We assist clients with employment-based and family-based immigration matters from around the world and around the United States. We would love to be able to help you next. If you found this video helpful, I hope that you will share it with a family member or friend. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel and that the alerts are on so you don't miss our next video. Until next time.